Welcome to Module 3, Lesson 9. We are going over systems of nonlinear systems. And that's actually the first thing in this preparing for this lesson. We need prior knowledge of how to solve systems of linear equations, which was our second lesson of this course. So since it's been a while, please at least look at your notes or rewatch those videos because we will need to know how to use substitution and elimination. You will also need to know how to solve quadratic equations, which was Module 2, Lesson 3. You will need to be familiar with your conics. And for the fifth time, but for the first time we're seeing it and preparing for this lesson, you need to know the general form of the equations of the conics, understanding how the constants of the equations relate to the graph. In every lesson, we ended with how do we know this is a circle? How do we know this is an ellipse? How do we know that this is a hyperbola? How do we know that this is a parabola? We need this information in today's lesson. So your learning objectives are pretty straightforward. We need to be able to solve systems of nonlinear equations by the two methods that we talked about up at the top, by substitution and elimination. I'm sure you've already used this QR code, so welcome to the lesson. But as a reminder, you can pause and rewind as often as you need. And you need to look at the course schedule to see when this lesson's homework is due. So let's kind of start this in this intro, going over this, since this is prior knowledge that we have talked about kind of briefly in each lesson. So I made this flow chart for you guys to help. And I have this in here for your notes so that you can easily look at it, but I actually want you to turn into your spiral to the back of the extras on page 229, or maybe this has changed. And let's kind of go over this flow chart that we can see. That way we can use this in our notes and get some practice using it. So turning to page 229, here is that learning objective. Know the general form of the equations of the conic section, understanding how the constants of the equation relate to the graph. So I'm going to do these first two, which will leave you 7 or 5 to do on your own. You're going to pause the video and check your answers. Here's what we're doing. On this first one here, we have x squared minus 4x minus 4y equals 0. I want to know, is it a parabola, a hyperbola, an ellipse, or a circle? So use this flow chart here. Start here. Are there two squared variables? Well, here I only have an x squared, so the answer is no. We can stop. That is a parabola. Going to the next one, I'm going to try to do this without showing you the answer. I guess we can do this right here. Okay, it really doesn't matter what's happening after these two here. If I have x squared, y squared, hopefully you know the relationship between these after going over these so many times, but if not, use this flow chart. Are there two squared variables? Yes, so we keep going. Do the squared terms have the same sign? Yes, it's positive and positive. So yes, we're going to keep going. Do the squared terms have the same coefficients? And yes, it's 1x squared and 1y squared. So yes, that should be a circle. So pause the video and see if you can answer 4 through 7. Just kidding, 3 through 7. Okay, I hope you had time to pause it. So let's go over these 5 answers. We should have got hyperbola because you have two square terms, but they're different signs, one negative, one positive. This one's an ellipse, both squared, both positive, so same sign, but different coefficients. Parabola, because we have one squared term. Hyperbola, both squared terms, but you have a negative and a positive. And then this one was a little bit of a trick question. If I don't have any squared terms, that goes back to the very first lesson. This is a line. So if you don't have anything squared, you have a line.